UniPod, the podcast for all things management software.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of UniPod, the podcast for all things management software, where we build the community for management software founders. And today we are with Matthew Webley, who will take us through his own journey of his own very special vertical. So Matthew, thank you very much for joining. I'm super excited. It's always exciting as the first one. So happy to have you here. Please.
Yes, pleasure.
Amazing. Can you please introduce yourself and let us know how your journey with management software began?
Okay, well, it's quite a long journey, so I'll start at the beginning.
Exactly.
I was employed working for a development company in Cardiff, which is like the local city here in Wales. And it wasn't really a happy employment, you know. I don't know if you've been employed, but you know sometimes it doesn't go as you want it to. So it was at that stage that when we just had our first child that I decided then that I wasn't going to be employed anymore. I wanted to build something for myself. And as we had our first child, I thought I'd try and build some software that could help new parents. So my partner Ali was saying that there was no product that could help new parents track feeds and sleeps and all that kind of thing. So I don't know if you have children or not, but when it's your first time, you don't know what to do.
I'm on my way with my first one,
Oh,
just
really?
cooking it
Okay.
as we speak.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. So as you will find out, probably I'm going to clear what you're doing. You know. So
Yeah.
you know, how often they should feed, how often they should sleep, how much to feed them, and how much to make them drink. So yeah, that was the idea of Wootzoo back then, and we called it BabApp at the beginning, like the baby app. So it was just
So
a very.
it's like what the babies can pronounce, right? Like baba.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Easiest words now. So yeah, it was just like a really basic kind of application to record what feeds you're giving your baby if they've slept. That's what it was. And then
So it started as a B2C, actually, like an application for parents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there was nothing that really recorded those really basic fundamental things. Yeah, so that's how it started life. And then COVID happened, and everything stopped. So in that meantime, in that period, I went back to development and set up an agency with a friend called John. We set up a company called Pobl, and Pobl is a Welsh language word for people. So myself, John, and a guy called Gwynedd, which is a classic Welsh name, we set up an agency. The three of us work from home, developing websites for NHS Wales. So we've built quite a successful agency. We did that for about 2 or 3 years. We got offices in Cardiff and started building it out. And then, when everything was smooth, my passion for BabApp reignited, and I sold my share in Pobl. I went back to development then. So I had a bit of capital behind me then. And then continued the process, and it's built it to where it is now. So there's more, but maybe we'll get to that in the conversation.
Yeah, I believe that, transitioning from being an employee to really building your own stuff requires like a lot of determination and flexibility. So it sounds like you've really been through all the trenches of starting the system and starting to get familiar with how to be a founder. So how did the transition after working at this agency to a B2B management software really happened, or even why? What is the reason?
So I guess in COVID, I realised that the nursery software probably wouldn't be much use because no one was going to nursery, no one was going to school. Everything was from home. So we kind of pivoted to make it an online activity platform. For example, finding a math teacher or finding a French teacher or a language teacher online. Yeah, so that's when we kind of added the activity side to it.
Nice. So it was like a marketplace at the beginning where you could find a math tutor or an English tutor.
Yeah, you can still do that now on the platform. So it's not just we'll probably talk about this verticals. It's not just nursery management software. It's also somewhere where you can find a club for your child, or find a mass coach,
Mm-hmm.
or so it's activities, clubs, and childcare. It's supposed to be like a one-stop shop for parents,
When and is there like an interface for the clubs, for the children's club or for the nursery itself? Like, is there like, because for me management software is where the club can manage their business. So does it have like these layers
Yes.
inside?
Yeah, yeah. So over time now, it's become more of a management software platform.
Mm-hmm.
That's where our paying customers are, So we need to provide them with a dashboard where they can manage the day-to-day running of their activity or nursery.
Okay, interesting. So, but I think what's interesting here is that you really built it from the perspective of the parents, if I understand correctly. Most nursery management software that I speak with really, start from the nursery's point of view, or if it's a gym management software, then the gym's management software, then the gym's point of view. So it sounds like you must have a different kind of perspective or angle to your management software when you're really more catering towards the parents' needs. Do you think that that's right, what I'm saying here?
Yeah, 100%. That was the whole premise of the idea.
Mhm.
It's around the parents. The parents own the data. The nursery does not own the child's data. All belongs to the parents. Parents can book child into nursery, sports, club, whatever. Yeah, so it's more of a parent-focused platform, which also has the management capabilities for each of those verticals, as you call them.
Okay, super interesting. Like, do you have an example of a feature or something that parents really like about the software that you can with us?
Yeah, I guess probably one of the most popular features is like the memories application within it, where as on your phone you'll have like a bunch of memories of your child doing like specific things. So in nursery, for example, when your child first learns to say a new word, or if they do something, fun like building blocks, or they hit a milestone on a curriculum, the
Oh, wow.
the nursery can then create a memory, either a video or a photograph, and that will go into the memories of the parents, and then they can just like flick through a slideshow of memories of their child growing and progressing.
Oh, wow. That sounds really, really sweet, really nice. So what makes me curious here in terms of the business aspect of it is just because this unique perspective of you actually like serve the parents. Who is your customer and who is your users? So I understand that parents are definitely like one layer of your users, and then there's also the nursery or or the club or the activity founder that are also using the software. Who is like your customer? Because parents are not, a business. And
Yeah, our direct customer are the nurseries and clubs. Yeah,
Mhm.
we market to those, and then they onboard on our behalf. As part of their onboarding process, they
Okay,
onboard.
nice. So there was kind of like a pivot in the journey from the
Yeah,
B2C to the B2B, but what really sticked is the perspective and where you put your focus in terms of the interface, if I get that right.
yeah, because we want to make it for the parents really, just to make them happy.
Hmm.
Because the products around them as well. Because it feels like a lot of the competitors, it's all about the management software and how it helps them, and I think they forget about the parent journey slightly.
Yeah. So it sounds like this is really like the unique value or unique proposition. So I think that's a very nice way that connects to your, personal journey and how you started. Nice, I get it. And yeah, you mentioned a little bit the word marketing and onboarding. So can you take us through this process? What's been successful? What's been unsuccessful? What do you recommend for new founders of management software to put their energy into or not? Marketing is a really confusing world where you can go to many directions. So, if you can share a little bit from your experience around that, that would be interesting.
What really clicked for us was when we focused solely on Wales, and because we're like a Welsh-based business, trying to spread ourselves too thin and like appeal to everyone in the UK to start with was the strategy. And then as you go along, people tend to niche down, and if you try and focus on everyone, you focus on nobody. So, and that was true. The moment that we niched down in Wales and focused on the childcare market in Wales, that's when we had some real progress and got some traction from that.
Okay, interesting. So what's different between, well, I can understand, UK is different than other European countries maybe, but is there like a unique, what's unique about Wales in that sense, or how does that help you differentiate yourself?
Yeah, so education is devolved in Wales, as in we are Welsh Parliament control education. So and there's an organisation called Mydiad Maithrin, which are
Okay.
the Welsh language organisation for Welsh language childcare in Wales. And without sounding harsh, they were a little bit behind the times when it came to technology.
Mm.
Yeah, so that was like our in really. I approached a lady who was a French coach based in Newport about the software, and she was like, this software would work great for our childcare session that we're going to be like introducing in a few months' time. And so we work closely with her. Her name's Natasha. Her nursery is called Webley. Shout out. Yeah, and she introduced me to Mydiad Maithrin. We've like partnered together now to build this software for the Welsh language sector, and that's really opened a lot of doors for us.
Okay, nice. So actually, sometimes with marketing, you look around and you try to capture a lot, but what you're saying is that sometimes, the local and the
Focus in, niche in, and yeah, you'll find your customer, I think.
yeah, but I mean, that's a really good point because, you also have this inside knowledge about Wales and what you explained about the education. So that's a really cool entry point that can help you. And I think that's important for founders in general, but management software founders as well. When you focus on your strengths and you learn your advantage, even if it's local, then something can really click together and push you to the right direction.
Yeah, you've really got to focus on your differences, haven't you? What makes you different from the rest, or you're trying to compete in a crowded market. The moment that you can, I guess, compete on your terms is when you can really like stand out from the competition, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. And I hear it a lot from, and I think it's going to be relevant to say that here. I hear it a lot from management software founders where they try to focus on a very specific vertical.
Uh-huh.
So when I talk to a gym management software, then sometimes they for example, focus only on boutique studios. So it's almost like a boutique studio management software, and it's a bit different than a big country gym management software. So what I like about what you said is that it's not only very vertical niche, but also the localization can be also a certain niche and a unique selling point and an advantage almost in a super duper competitive market.
Yeah,
It's funny how there are so many management software. I didn't even I didn't even imagine that there could be so many, so specific but so special. And each management software really captures a different and goes for it.
yeah.
So in terms of like expansion, where do you see your management software going? Do you think you're going to expand in terms of features, in terms of places? I mean, geographically, languages, verticals. Where do you see Wootzoo growing?
Right now, we're like solely focused on Wales because I think it's such an underserved market, and there's no software either in like in niche software like finding activities. Everything's well. If they say you're lucky if it's a UK company, and then if it's a UK company, it's never a Welsh company. So yeah, we want to like pioneer Wales. Really, we're all quite passionate in Wales about being Welsh, so it's quite funny. Yeah, so yeah, I'd love to like dominate the entire market in Wales first, and then
So what does it matter for a business in Wales if it's a Wales software or a UK software? I use like Israeli software or European software or American software, and it doesn't really matter to me as long as it works well. So what do you think is making the difference here?
It's probably more me than the customer. And it's just nice that we have our own ecosystem here. I think we've always been like England's little brother, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So have like a tech scene in Wales and building products built in Wales for Welsh people means a lot to me personally. But I think well, yeah, everyone I've worked with as well, actually, they quite like the fact that it's like a locally produced.
But when you say it's me, is it also you like going into the market, researching, knowing the people and selling the software to them, and then you have like this personal relationship with them? Or is it a software that sells itself and everything is online and in English and it works like that?
Yeah, I think it's the personal relationship. Yeah,
Mhm.
connecting with like, local communities and yeah, and speaking to them, and there's like these like mid Wales and North Walian communities that don't use technology, and most of them don't speak English.
Mm.
To have like software written in Welsh that they can use natively is quite appealing.
Wait, is there a different writing in Wales?
Yeah, we've got our own language.
Oh wow, I feel a little bit yeah, I
I
feel
find
like
it's more of a
like
lesson.
I had to know that. I feel like I was supposed to know that. Okay. I was
No, no. Well, at least you know where Wales was, so that's good.
Okay. So your software is in English or in a different language or in
It's
Welsh?
it's in Welsh and English, yeah. So it's in English default, but people can choose.
Okay. And okay, but it's also Welsh English.
Yes, it's bilingual, yeah. So it's Welsh and English, yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. Most people in Welsh speak both English and Welsh?
Not so much in the south where I am, where
Hmm.
yeah we've kind of lost the language a little bit. But more mid Wales, West Wales, and North Wales, especially up north, Welsh is their first language, and yeah, a lot of them
Nice.
don't speak English.
It's nice. Interesting. Okay, so I think it's what you said about being locally, involved in the community is super important to highlight because many software founders, really want to build something online that sells itself, that scales itself. And I think it always comes back to the point where you need to know the people.
Yeah,
And even when you build software, you build it for and even when you build software for companies and for businesses, you really need to know the people and speak to them, learn them, understand them. So it's not only technical. And
yeah,
would you agree with that?
yeah, 100%. Going out and
Yeah.
meeting people, there's no kind of substitute for that, is there? Really, you can do your online market research, but when you start speaking to people, find out what really kind of connects with them. That you find, yeah, you can build a product then that really no one else can compete with because they don't speak to the same people that you speak to and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. And Matthew, I like to ask management software founders if there is, or founders or leaders, if there is a feature that you decided that's not worth it anymore, and then you like change direction, something that, we can learn from, and why you started developing it and what happened eventually that made you realize that it's not really needed in the market.
Yeah, I think with Wootzoo, we were looking at implementing some kind of like AI solution and trying to help automate things using AI. We went down that road, just got a few like, API keys to try and use with like open AI and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think that going down that route for this kind of software is not a good idea, personally. Just trying to keep it people focused and like real humans making decisions and dealing with their customers face to face or in a chat box, for example. I think yeah, our types of customers want to speak to real people and not bots. So that was something we experimented with for a little bit and then rolled that back.
Wow. Okay. Super interesting. AI is like a big, obviously at the moment, and a lot of people feel like they must integrate it somehow to their software, but sometimes it becomes not natural, maybe you can say.
Yeah.
Forced.
Yeah, probably a good description. That there's not always a need for it, is there? Depending on your
Yeah.
customers,
Yeah.
but whenever you're dealing with person to person, there's. I think those kind of relationships are always going to maintain on there the human connection.
Yeah. I think that can be confusing in terms of, sometimes big words or hypes or trends can really be distraction more than helpful. So you really need to pay attention to that. I guess today it's AI, tomorrow it's something else.
Yeah, it's a trend.
Matthew, what role do integrations play in your product strategy? Do you prefer to build yourself, or do you believe in integrating to other solutions in order to expand more quickly? What's your approach to that?
Yeah, I guess you've got to utilize existing platforms where they can help you. For example, things like Stripe and Go Cardless. Yeah, essential really for us for our online payments. Yeah, no point reinventing the wheel there, is there? Well, yeah, with other things we've built bespoke. We built a form builder, similar to Google Forms. I suppose we could have used Google Forms, but yeah, prefer to build that in house.
Interesting. Why forms you decided to build and payments you decided to integrate?
I guess the level of complexity, I suppose. Quite easy to build a form builder, and then to create your own payment gateway would take a lot longer, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could
quite
be.
complicated, isn't it? And the security of it all as well, I suppose, with payments. It's just better to offload that to bigger partners.
Okay, nice. And are there any other integrations that you saw are better to integrate versus building, or is it like the only thing that you think?
Yeah, that pretty much is it. I think I'd have to take a look at the site again off the top of my head. We're going to use like Google Calendar, but then we decided just to like download like an ICS file where you could just insert it into your own calendar. Yeah, I guess
That could also be a reason, like the user experience. If they're already using Google Calendar, then you want to be able to integrate with what they're already using and not force them to do something else.
yeah, and the ICS file works with, is it ICS or the iCal file works with all calendars, So yeah, it's just been like, I guess, technical decisions made at that moment in time. I guess.
So yeah, maybe every feature or every new idea needs to be treated like you say, you decide for every single one
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And Matthew, when you start to price your management software, were there any tests or experiments that you tried? Was there something that worked and now is working less or working better? What's your approach to pricing and building revenue out of the software eventually?
Yeah, I think pricing is probably one of the most difficult parts of the whole process, isn't it? You
Mhm.
might know how to build software, but knowing what number to put your software in at is probably one of the most important decisions you'll make. Um, we we did a deal with Midian Mithrin to give their whole community a preferential rate because we'd partner with them, and there's over like 300 or so Kilth Mithrins, which are like the nurseries in Wales.
Mhm.
Yeah, we give them a preferential rate. But yeah, our pricing for other childcare settings in and outside of Wales is at a competitive level now. Well, it's actually below the market rate because we're still relatively early and still looking to penetrate. So we wanted to be competitive but not underpriced. So I think pricing is, I haven't got the right answer still. charge as much as you can so people will still buy your product.
Yeah, of course. But I like your honesty because, being early in the management software space is very challenging in a lot of ways. So I think a lot of people can relate that when you start, it's very difficult to set the right price, balancing between not being underpriced, but still being competitive. So it's pretty challenging.
Yeah.
How do you find pricing tiers? Is that something that you explored already or planning to explore?
Yeah, we've looked at that. Right now, there's two options. If you're not a childcare setting, you have a pay-as-you-go option where there's an increased cost per transaction
Mm.
and no monthly charge, and then there's also a monthly charge where you pay a lower cost per transaction. So it's up to then our customers and to figure out which or where they kind of like lay in terms of how many bookings they're going to take.
Okay, so actually one of your revenue streams of the business is also the payments and the bookings that is going through the software.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, interesting. So a lot of management software also, start to tap into that. The biggest ones like Shopify or Toast even earn more from their payments eventually than the SaaS subscriptions. So that's definitely something to look into and to really it's nice that from an early stage that you're already tapping into that. Nice.
I do. It's funny you mentioned Shopify because I'd love Wootzoo to be like the Shopify of this industry, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that Shopify is the North Star for the management software industry or category, if you can call it that way. It doesn't matter that they specifically do it for shops and web developers or store developers. You do it for nurseries. Some people do it for golf courses. But in fact, at the end of the day, it's really helping a business manage all their aspects.
Yeah, it's getting a business online and getting communicating with their customers, taking payments. Quite a similar model, really.
Yeah. Communication, scheduling, booking, payments, all in one place.
That's it, exactly.
Nice. What's your approach, Matthew, to reducing churn within your software? Have you experienced that at all? How do you increase the stickiness of your software and reduce churn?
I think to stay and connect to your customers, it's easier at the moment because we've only got about 30 paying childcare settings. And it's just staying in touch with them. We had a setting in Wales that onboarded 3 of their nurseries, and for some reason I didn't stay in touch with them, and they cancelled after about like 2 or 3 months.
Oh,
And that stuck with me. It was probably the fact that I didn't stay in touch. I didn't, keep touching base with them. Yeah, so that's a lesson learned, a very specific lesson. Hopefully, we'll hook back up again in September when the new term starts. But yeah, there was something specific about that relationship where we were like really close, onboarding them, and then I just let them run with the product, and then they cancelled. So
yeah, that's a really important lesson, right, to learn early on. Again, going back to this personal relationship that you already mentioned in the beginning in acquiring new users, then it's also important to keep that in mind when they're already onboarded. Again, software can sound like a plug and play thing, but I think for management software that requires like a lot of development and change in habits, then it's really something that you need to make sure for a while that your users enjoy it and know how to use it. So thank you for sharing that story and, in general, this view with personal relationship and your users.
yeah, and there are quite a lot of stories of people saying they were really like friendly and helpful onboarding us, and then as soon as we got their money or we give them our money, we'd never hear from them again. So yeah, I think a lot
Yeah.
of post on board it's a nice time.
Yeah. Okay, Matthew. So as we come towards an end, I really like to ask all the leaders that come to this podcast this question. So you'll need your imagination here. But if you had double the budget tomorrow morning, what's the first thing that you would invest in? Yeah, because basically, what's something that you think management software founders should invest in more if they had the chance? And
I think a sales and marketing team, or like 1 or 2 people
uh-huh.
from the beginning. Yeah, I think you should focus on marketing the moment you start building the product, because that's probably the biggest challenge for founders. I think is getting the product out there, building trust, and positioning yourself as someone who knows how to do that. It's taken me for like 5 or 6 years now to learn how to position this product. And so I have to learn as I go along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, knowing that at the beginning, and then I could focus on my audience from an earlier stage, I think would have put us like 10 times quicker down the road.
Yeah, so I think that that's important. But if I can challenge you here maybe and ask a follow-up question, do you feel like a marketing expert could really help you early on? Or is it something that you really needed to find out yourself, talking to the people, going to these communities and, having this mindset shift as part of the building of the business? What do you think?
No, yeah, you are probably right. That's a learned lesson. It's all the other things as well that go with it, like creating content and posting on socials and all that kind of stuff to try and keep your profile high and active.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I still would stick to my original choice, I guess. Maybe more of an all-rounder, maybe not just
Yeah.
a sales and marketing,
Yeah.
but someone who could do a lot of that work. But
Mm-hmm.
I do. Yeah, you're right. We've learned who our audience is over the last 5 years.
Yeah, no, now don't get me wrong. I strongly believe that sales and marketing is, a very important aspect to build on, especially that you come from the more technical background and you have that already in place. So that's a complementary complementary characteristic. Just I do hear that it can't be alone. It's not magic that happens. And when you're building something, then you also need to be involved in the process of marketing it, positioning it, finding the right people, really building the relationships. So it's just not on its own, from what I understand and hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Matthew, it was a really pleasure to have you on. Is there anything that you want to say to management software community before we?
I didn't really think about this one, but I suppose make sure you are solving a real world problem. If you want to build a decent product, speak to people. That's the advice everyone gives you, don't they, before you start? And so that anybody actually does that. Find the issue, the problem, the niche, I suppose, and then focus on that.
Yeah, super, super duper important. And I think that your story explains that aspect very well, from finding the people, finding the niche, building the relationships. So thank you for highlighting this point. To conclude, it was a really great time and a great episode. So thank you, Matthew. Thank you to our listeners.
Thank you,
And
Sean.
see you next time.
Bye.